Hello, everybody. All right, welcome to the Mikestand. Today is Friday, May 30th, 2025. Of course, the last day of May. I know I might have came on a little late tonight, but I was just taking care of some last minute things here. But you know, that's all right. So, of course, a friendly reminder as always, if you guys haven't already, if you guys can help out by liking and sharing the stream, see if we get some more friendly people to engage. That'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment or ask questions. And I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. So, of course, we're going to give people a chance to come in before we get started. Let's see now. Yeah, so anyways, I was watching actually saw an interesting Popeye commercial earlier, or not commercial, but um, short earlier, in which protect PROTEK the weakerist WEAKERIST, where basically he was asked by Olive Oil to take out her dog Fluffy, and he's not too keen on the idea because Fluffy being kind of a wimpy dog. You know how that goes, right? Got a couple of Oswald cartoons. You know, let's see, Mary Mel little. Let's see, Little Red Walking Hood from Merry Melodies and Porky's Double Trouble, Looney Tunes. So quite a bit of stuff, Of course, I'm into November 1937 now. So, anyways, we wait for more people to show up here. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can drum up some more viewership, as it were. Before we get started here. All right. So, anyway. I've seen it. Okay, so we're just past the 3 minute mark, so I guess I might as well get into what I'll get into what we'll be going over tonight. All right. So, anyways. Let me just do one more thing here. I'll put some music on. I'll be right back. And when I come back, I'll go ahead and talk about what I'm going to chat for the night. All right, I'm back. All right, we have 3 people now. So with that, okay, so let me talk about what's on. So I got a couple articles I'm going to go over tonight. One from Bounty, one from Bleeding Fool, and one from Me TV Tunes. The first one we're going to go over is from today. Animation, well, both of them are from today. Animation Magic and Oscar Glory campaign for Disney's Song of the South to be part of the National Registry. And then the other one is we're going to take a look at a Mel Blanc article Me TV Tunes did regards to some of some of his favorite characters. Plus, of course, we'll have the wrestling wrap-up, look back to last night's TNA Impact TNA Impact and Ring of Honor Club shows, and then we'll look ahead to tonight's SmackDown as well as tomorrow night's Collision. Of course, the SmackDown show with the lead up to next weekend's Money in the Bank event, and then of course with Collision preparing for its Fighter Fest events for Wednesday and Thursday. So Wednesday and Thursday taping. So with that being said, why don't we go ahead and let's go ahead and get started then on the articles. And of course, I can find the. And again, if you haven't already, if you can help out by liking and sharing the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people in here to engage, that'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions, and I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. So with that being said, let's get into this. All right, so Animation Magic and Oscar Glory. Campaign for Disney's Song of the South to be part of the National Registry. Article by Jameson Ashley, published today, May 30th, 2025. Zippity-doo-dah, zippity-yay. I'm sure we all remember that little jingle. There's a growing campaign to nominate Disney's 1946 film Song of the South for inclusion in the National Film Registry, led by film advocate Ed McCrae. This effort aims to recognize the movie's historical and cultural importance, even as debates continue over its portrayal of African American characters. The deadline for public nominations is August 15th, 2025, according to the library, at least to get it nominated for this go around, I guess, for this year. Why Song of the South matters. Song of the South holds a unique place in American film history. Most notably, James Baskett's performance as Uncle Remus earned him an Academy Award, making him the first black actor to win an Oscar. This was a groundbreaking achievement at a time when opportunities for black performers were extremely limited. The film also pioneered the blending of live action and animation, a technical marvel in 1946. Its signature song, Zippity-doo-dah, quote unquote, won the Oscar and became a cultural touchstone for generations, even as Disney recently removed it from parades and attractions, reflecting ongoing debates about the film's legacy. Controversy and cultural significance. While Song of the South has been criticized for its stereotypical depictions of African American characters, supporters of the campaign argue that preserving the film in the National Film Registry is not about endorsing outdated views. Instead, it's about recognizing the movie's impact, both positive and negative, on American culture and film history. The registry's mission is to safeguard films that are culturally, in quote here, culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant. And Song of the South fits all three criteria. I mean, if you think about it, despite the way that maybe African Americans were depicted in the movie, you still had probably the first African American actor win an Oscar for his performance in the movie. That's a positive to counter the negative. So should we ignore the fact that James Baskett, the fact that he was the first man to first African American man to win an Oscar? Should we negate that just because the film, reflected the views of the time? You know, I think we're kind of past a point in our society where if we're watching stuff, we're going to automatically be influenced by it. In other words, people today, if they sit there and watch Song of the South, they're not going to become racist from watching Song of the South. Okay, and anybody who thinks otherwise is missing something in upstairs. Okay, I think people are a lot more reasonable and can reason through a lot more now than maybe they did back then. So, um, but that's the problem with woke, right? So, unfortunately, Disney president Bob Iger has confirmed in 2020 that the film would not appear on Disney Plus, which has had the effect of increasing interest in preserving it for study and discussion. How you can get involved. The National Film Registry relies on public nominations to help decide which films are preserved for future generations. Anyone can nominate up to 50 films each year um, using the Library of Congress's website, with this year's deadline set for August 15th, 2025. So we have a little, about a couple, 2.5 months to go here. This effort will ensure that all aspects of our cinematic past are remembered and learned from. Preserving Song of the South in the National Film Registry would allow future generations to study its artistry, um, achievements, and the important conversations it continues to spark. Do your part and fill out the form here. All right. So, anyways, I may decide to do that later, but with that, so there you go with the first article we're doing tonight. So now we're gonna, of course, get ready to bring up the next article here in a moment as soon as I get some stuff out here. Alrighty then. So here comes the second article we're going to do tonight. Alrighty then. So here's the second article we're doing tonight. Let me just one more time here. Let me see if we can rustle up some more viewers here. Zippity doo dah, zippity yay. My oh my, what a wonderful day. Oh, plenty of sunshine heading my way. Zippity doo dah, zippity yay. Zippity doo dah, zippity yay. My oh my, what a wonderful day. Oh, plenty of sunshine heading my way. Zippity-doo-dah, zippity-yay. Alrighty then, so here we go. Let's get into this next article here. So Mel Blanc on his favorite Looney Tunes characters. The story behind quote-unquote Suffering Succotash. Article published today by MeTV Tube staff. In his autobiography, That's Not All Folks, Mel Blanc gave a deep dive into his approach to voicing cartoon characters. He took each character's appearance and physique into consideration when developing the voice. Like when he first voiced Sylvester the cat, he said, quote, when I was first shown the model sheet of Sylvester with his floppy jowls and generally disheveled appearance, I said to Fritz Frayling, in smaller quotes, a big sloppy cat should have a big sloppy voice, on smaller quote. He should spray even more than Daffy, unquote. Blanc was so committed to Sylvester's overly exaggerated lisp that he would have to wipe saliva off of his script. Oh boy, that's funny. Yeah, you sit there, you're reading the script, and of course you're spitting all over it. So that can't be too good, especially if you're not the only one holding this. If you're the only one holding the script, it's one thing. But if you're having to pass it around for things, and yeah, that can be quite a hassle, I would say. Let's see. He even joked with June Foray, the voice of Granny, that she would wear a raincoat to recording sessions. While Blanc enjoyed most of his Looney Tunes characters, he eventually admitted that Sylvester was his favorite. Quote, Sylvester has always been a favorite of mine. He's a great deal like Daffy, a perpetual fall guy, with a near identical voice. Daffy is pitched up slightly, meaning I think pitched up higher, I guess, while Sylvester is recorded at regular speed. Okay, so it's speed, and sounds the closest to my natural way of speaking. He's always been the easiest character for me to play, unquote. Blanc comes across as passionately protective of Sylvester in his memoir. He even defends Sylvester's tactics as the efforts of a starving cat dealing with Tweety, who is nowhere near the innocent baby bird audiences believed him to be. He also disliked that Tweety, who was unquestionable the fan favorite, got main billing on cartoons that were clearly Tweety and Sylvester duo comedies. For Sylvester's catchphrase, Blanc pulled a line from his days as a radio star, quote, keeping in mind Sylvester's spluttering delivery, I wanted a phrase that with two or more S's in it. Since I already borrowed his voice for Daffy, I had no compunctions about nicking a line from another of my creations, traveling salesman Roscoe E. Wordy from radio's The Judy Canova Show. The line, of course, was the suffering succotash. the the suffering Sakatash, unquote. The voice, quote unquote, borrowed for Daffy and Sylvester was from another character on the Judy Canova show. And that character's name was Sylvester. The original radio show character's name likely inspired changing the cat, originally known as Thomas, to Sylvester. Watch Bugs Bunny and Friends on MeTV Tunes weekdays at 9 a.m. Eastern, 8 Central, 6 a.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 Central, and 7 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Pacific, and Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 Central, 5 Pacific, and Sundays at 12 noon, 11 a.m. Central, 9 a.m. Pacific. So they give you quite a bit of Looney Tunes action there throughout the day. Alrighty then. Hey there, Jozo. Yeah, I gotta. So let's see. All right, so it looks like I got through those a little bit quicker than I'd hoped. So actually, what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go off camera for just a moment here. Got to take care of something real quick. But I will be right back. But what I will do is I'll put some music on to the end when I'm done. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back now. All right, so I'm gonna run through and see if I can find any other interesting articles that can take us maybe just a few minutes here. But while I'm doing that, if there's anything in the realm of anime, cartoons, comics, manga, pro wrestling that happens to be on your guys' mind that you want to bring up, anything you want to discuss, ask about, feel free to do so. And we will. So feel free to do that. I'll, of course, check back with the chat to see what you guys may have to come up with. Just gonna go through here one more time to see if Nothing new there. Okay. So, anyways, let's see now. Let's see now. As I said, I'm just kind of trying to see if there's anything else we can talk about before I move on. If nothing else comes up, I probably will move on to the wrestling wrap up. That one's pretty short. All right, I think I found something here that's kind of short. That something from a couple of days ago. So I found something here. I've actually kind of I saw it a couple of days ago, but just wasn't sure because of other stuff going on that I was waiting to see. All right, so let's look at this article then. So, Marvel blinks, bringing original Punisher Frank Castle back from purgatory. Article by Avi Green, published May 28th, which of course was this past Wednesday. As some of you guys know, they had the Wokeites had decided they didn't like Frank Castle, didn't like his story, tried to make changes to him, and now I guess Marvel is finally realizing, okay, maybe we shouldn't have done that. But anyways, let's see what Avi has to say here. This is one of Avi's articles. Old buddy Avi here. Comic book reports Marvel is moving away from the woke, defeatist vision, social justice advocate Jason Aaron forced upon the Punisher, which saw Frank Castle causing himself to disintegrate and bringing him back to the living world in a new miniseries that unfortunately is emphasizing gory violence. So, so now here's from the article that Avi's referencing here. Punisher is back from the dead and on a blood revenge tour. In his new Marvel series, Frank Castle is back, in the public eye after John Bernthal reprised his role as a street level vigilante in Daredevil Born Again. Bernthal is also starring in and writing a Punisher special presentation for Disney Plus. So there's more Punisher on the way on the small screen. As for the comics, Marvel is bringing Frank Castle back from the dead in Punisher Red Band, 5-issue miniseries by writer Benjamin Percy and artist Julius Ota, the current creative team for Helverin. That's interesting. Helverin. Uh, they tried to replace Frank Castle with some Shield guy who goes rogue. Yeah. Well, the thing was, they didn't like the fact that Frank Castle had, would use guns and would act like a true vigilante, and basically, and just outright kill criminals. Wouldn't give them a trial or anything like that. He just outright killed them. If he found them guilty, they were dead. And the wokists didn't like that idea. So, anyways, each issue of Punisher Red Band will come polybagged for explicit content, as Marvel promises that the comic will be the most violent in Punisher history. Frank Castle will also return to his classic costume, ready to unleash his brutal brand of justice on the criminal underworld. So this is Avi's response to all that. On the other hand, it sure is sad they'd have approved Aaron's direction in the first place. Though Jerry Conway made it easy for them to go along with it. On the other hand, as though it weren't bad enough, this is being done far too late to matter. They're making things worse by presenting us with an alarmingly violent vision, as though that'll make things any better. I think what Avi is getting at here with this state, what it sounds like to me that Avi is getting at with this particular statement, is that okay, they swung the pendulum one way. Now they're going to swing it way back the other. It's like wah 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 wah. Let's see. Something tells me this new take on Frank Castle will only end up making the creation look worse than need be, quite possibly as more a lunatic than a guy who's suitably helpful to innocents when needed. As far as I'm concerned, The Punisher ended in the late 90s, and what's come since has only done a terrible disfavor, mainly because how successive writers have held the character hostage to leftist agendas and never relented on them. All right, so there we go with that. That was a bit of a quick. I would have thought with something like that, knowing Avi, that would have been a much longer article, but it wasn't. So anyway, so we got past the 30-minute mark here, which is what I was aiming to do there tonight. So let's see. Marvel only hates Punisher because they don't like cops using the skull. They would probably be murdering people just for having political beliefs. They don't like IRL if they could. Careful with those kind of statements, because those are the type of statements that could get you a knock at the door. There, it shows though. You got to be careful with those statements. But anyways, so now we're past the 30-minute mark. So I think I'll do now, of course, is I will move on to actually you had another comment here. Didn't even notice that. I don't know why people assign political nonsense to Punisher, a character who never cared about that at any point and just kills criminals. Well, because it goes towards a much broader idea there. It's politics is only part of it. It goes towards a much broader thing of societal value, right? Sociological societal value. Okay? Like politics is only how you apply what you believe, like things like how much the government should be involved in your life, whether or not you should have the right to bear arms to defend yourself. What would be considered justifiable homicide? Those questions, whether or not you're considered an adult at 18 or at 15 or at 21. Those are, again, societal values. All right, and those society and the politics is how you apply the societal values. Politics are the rules we set for ourselves in a civil society, where known as laws, where okay, this is how we want our society to run. So that goes towards what you know. So the idea of okay, criminals killed my family, so I have a right to take a gun and go and shoot those criminals and also shoot other criminals who go out and harm other people's families. Okay. There are people going to agree with that mindset, and there are other people who say no, you shouldn't go out and kill people. There are like people who just completely believe in nonviolence, and there are people who believe that um, survival of the fittest kind of. So the political aspect of it is that politics is how you apply the societal values that govern how we live in a civil world. So, so that hopefully will at least get you thinking a little bit on that. Yeah. So, anyways, so yeah, we're coming up on 40 minutes now, so I'm going to go ahead and move on to the wrestling wrap up here. Try to go through quickly some of stuff that's gone on in the gone on last night, as well as moving ahead to tonight and tomorrow night's thing. So on last night's Ring of, we'll start with Ring of Honor. Last night's Ring of Honor. Last night's Ring of Honor Club, which came to us from the Chathaway Arena in Norfolk, Virginia, with Caprice Coleman and Ian Riccaboni on commentary. La Catalina of CMLL defeated Trish Adora in a singles match. Lance Archer of the Don Callis family defeated Diego Hill. In a Ring of Honor pure title match, Lee Moriarty, with Sean Dean in his corner, successfully defended the title against Matt Mako. In a Torneo Cibernetico 10-man elimination tag match, Blue Panther, Hologram, Neon, Valiente, and Virus defeated Averno, Dr. Cerebro, or Dr. Cerebro, Euphoria, Volador Jr., and Lohua. Satnam Singh defeated Facade in a singles match. And by the way, the Torneo Cibernetical match was taped in Glendale, Arizona, along with the pure title match, and then the first match was taped in Hoffman Estates. Satnam Singh defeated Facade. The main event saw Hologram and Rhino defeat the Frat House's Griff Garrison and Cole Carter in the main event tag match. So that's all that happened in Ring of Honor last night, on last night's Ring of Honor Club. So now moving on to getting ready to move on to Impact, TNA Impact. On last night's Impact, coming from the CAA Center in Brampton, Ontario, Canada, with Matthew Rainwalt and Tom Hannafan on commentary. Opening match saw in a four-way match for the number one contendership to the TNA World Tag Team titles. Basically a match to see who would next challenge Nemeth for the TNA World Tag Team. The Rascals of Trey Miguel and Zachary Wentz defeated First Class's AJ Francis and Casey Navarro, the Systems Eddie Edwards and Brian Myers, and Laredo of the Aztec Warriors. Mustafa Ali defeated Raj Singh in a singles match, with all members of the Order 4 in his corner. Lei Ying Lee defeated one half of the Knockouts Tag Team Champions, Ash by Elegance. Mance Warner with Steph Delander in her corner defeated Bryce Hansen in a singles match. Robert Stone and Victoria Crawford with Tessa Blanchard and Alicia Edwards in their corner defeated Ariana Grace and Santino Marella. And this also marked for the first time ever that a father-daughter combo teamed up together in a match in wrestling history. Santino Marella and Ariana Grace are father and daughter. We've had storylines where, of course, like Vince and Stephanie were on opposing teams and some stuff. But this is to note, this is the first time that a father and daughter teamed up together in wrestling history. So, and then the main event saw Steve Maclin successfully defend the TNA International title against Matt Cardona. So there we have that match. So now we're going to move on to, with today being Friday, May 30th, 2025. We're now going to move on to this day in Niche history. So first thing I'd like to do is I'd like to actually wish a happy 70th birthday. Happy 70th birthday to Jake the Snake Roberts. So on this date back in 1955, Jake the Snake Roberts, the inventor of the DDT, WWE legend as well, he turned 70 today. So happy 70th birthday to Jake the Snake Roberts, real name Aurelian Jake Smith Jr., the son of Grizzly Smith, and of course the elder brother of Rockin' Robin Smith and Sam Houston, Michael Smith. So now moving on to the next piece of Niche history, of course. Moving ahead to the year 2002, 23 years ago today. On this date, 23 years ago today, in 2002, the 130th issue of Betty and Veronica Digest magazine went on sale on newsstands from Archie Comics on this date back in 2002. So for $2.19, it was 96 pages. So on this date back in 2002, 23 years ago today, 130th issue of Betty and Veronica Digest magazine went on sale on newsstands. 2002 was the year you were born. I guess that would make you around 23. Well, depending upon what month your birthday is in, make you about 22 or 23 right now, I guess. And finally, as we move, I'm 23. Okay, so your birthday's already passed. A happy belated birthday to you there, Fitzjosa. And now moving ahead to 2005. As on this date in 2005, Cartoon Network's The Life and Times of Juniper Lee premiered on Cartoon Network on this date back in 2005. Produced, of course, by Cartoon Network Studios. The series centers on the life of a preteen girl named Juniper Lee who lives in Orchard Bay City, based on Rick's adopted hometown of San Francisco. city is a hub for magical activity. So on this date in 2005, 20 years ago today, The Life and Times of Juniper Lee premiered on Cartoon Network. So with that, I thank everybody for being here tonight. I hope everybody enjoyed the show. Of course, we'll be back here on Sunday. I'll be joined by Rick Piper of Cross Comics. We'll be looking at comics that went on sale in May of 1940. We'll be looking at Prize Comics number 5. So with that, I thank everybody for being here, and I hope to see everybody back here tomorrow. Or I'm sorry, Sunday. Bye.